Hi, this is Itlali from the Mexica Movement, and today we inaugurate the Nicantlaca University. In this university, we will be giving you a lot of information, a lot of knowledge that is not usually presented to us, whether we go to college or in our education system through K through 12. We will have different presenters share different aspects of our history pertaining to the colonial history of the last 500 years and starting back to our roots, which date back more than 6,000 years ago. Today, I will present a PowerPoint presentation outlining what our objectives are in the Mexica Movement with the Nicantlaca University. First of all, why are we calling this the Nicantlaca University? Nicantlaca is a term that comes from the Nahuatl language that refers to our people as we the people here. This was a term that our ancestors used upon answering to the European invaders when they were asked, "Who are you?" And our ancestors would respond, "We are the people here," in reference to obviously pointing the distinction that you're not from here, but we're from here. It's become very common among social media, and even in some colleges, universities, and we're happy for that because that's something that we wanted. We wanted people to use a term that wasn't using the European language, that wasn't using colonialism, and that was honoring our ancestors' rights to our land and our culture. So when we say Nicantlaca, we are saying we are the people here. We are talking about Mexican, those of us known as Mexican, Central American, South American, Native American. Those are terms that we no longer need, and we never needed them, but because we are seen as objects to be labeled as to their convenience, our people in ignorance are allowing ourselves to be called these terms. But in the decolonization process that we're trying to introduce our people, we're trying to give a concept that is not going to define Europeans and is not going to define their version of who we are on our own continent. So we are saying Nicantlaca University because this is a university for the people of the Western Hemisphere for our true education and our true liberation. University. According to the Oxford definition, it's defined as an educational institution designed for instruction, examination, or both of students in many branches of advanced learning, conferring degrees in various faculties, and often embodying colleges and similar institutions. Universities. We as a people were the most educated people in the world. We had mandatory education for both males and females. We had our own universities. We had our own education system. And that today is completely absent in our information. It's completely absent from our frame of reference. Nowadays, you see Mexican Central Americans were dropping out of high schools at a very alerting rate. We are not being taught who we are. So the concept of a university, a concept of education is very obscured in our communities. We don't really aspire to be college educators because in the educational system, we don't see ourselves reflected in the education that we are obtaining. So as one of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to redefine the concept of university for our people. We are trying to let them know that university could be a liberating experience, that a university can be fulfilling the purpose of education in a way that is actually meaningful to our people, irregardless of gender, irregardless of your financial status. This is the education of our people on the media, in social media, on YouTube, on Facebook. This is the information that we're trying to give to the whole world. And through the Nicantlaca University, we are trying to organize all this information that we have, all the years that Olin has studied, the members of the Mexica Movement. All of us have a lot of information, a lot of knowledge that we specialize in, and what better way to provide this to our people than in a free way through YouTube, through Facebook, and something that you don't have to go to an enrollment process, you don't have to go through the bureaucracy of enrolling into university, but this is completely free to you, whatever part of the world that you're in, and that's one of our biggest objectives. The idea of the Nicantlaca University came from the need to take ownership of our education and to transform the educational experience of our people into a decolonizing process as well. The Mexica movement is introducing this concept to the world so that our people can have free access to our education in the most easiest manner. Eventually, we will have a full-blown university similar to the roots of this all over Semanahuac, all over the Western Hemisphere. So the Mexica movement has, in years, have had this vision of the Nican Tlaca University, but because we don't have major grants like Latino foundations and all these other colonial institutions, we don't rely on that type of funding because we are 1,000% grassroots. We are not going to be diluted. We are not going to be watered down by limitations on grant applications. So this is how we are doing it. We are presenting a complete, no red tape, no limitation, no censorship, access to our education. The biggest goals, well, I marked 4. The biggest goals is to provide a free, non-Eurocentric view of our history, taking charge of our education and interpretation of our history, offer new approaches to the teaching of our history without the red tape that come along with a lot of the degrees and institutions, to assist in the process of our people's decolonization in a way that is easily accessible and understood regardless of financial or educational background. Now, this is very, very important to us because a lot of the times when we do learn of our history and we have documented information on this, we learn our history, but we're learning it as white people, or we're learning it as foreigners, or we're learning it as a complete distinct people. And we're not. We're completely connected. This is who we are as a people. We shouldn't be learning our history as we are taught objectively. Like, oh, let's look at those Indians. Let's see what they did, or those people in the past, of past civilizations. When we're taught our history, it's in a very Eurocentric manner. It's in a way that states, you are not these people that we are studying. We are going to look at them for their culture, their history, the cute art that they had, but in no way or relevance is it ever taught to us in a way that connects us directly to the material and that tells us this is your history. This is what our ancestors gave the world. And I can say that because I've taken Chicano studies. A lot of the members and supporters of the Mexica movement are actually in courses that are covering these materials. And even when they're trying to teach our history, it's still embedded in the white supremacist model of education and identity. And so until we have a clear view and a clear sense of who we are, those educational purposes and those so-called Latino studies, Chicano studies, we need to address our colonial state. And until we decolonize that process, then we're not going to get a very valid and authentic view of who we are as a people. And this is also, we're saying that we're taking charge of our education, and we are, because what we're learning through the guidance of Olin Tezcatlipoca, through the guidance of other members and supporters of the Mexica movement, we are taking action. It's not like we are being paid to teach this. We're not at an actual university. We are taking our time to put together what we are learning and what makes sense to us, so that way it could be easier for people who have no idea who they are, have no idea of their history, of their identity. So we in the Mexica movement, we see it as our responsibility to facilitate that process, to make it easier for our people into the process of education liberation, because our history, you can't cover 6,000 years in 3-4 lectures. You can't cover the mathematical genius. You can't cover the astronomical genius of our people. You can't cover the educational system of our people. So we need to have a way in which we organize that information and that knowledge, and we explain it to our people in a way that's easily accessible, which is through YouTube, in a way that is organized, which is we are going to be presenting a lot of topics in the Nican Tlaca University as a way to make it easier for people that are watching this that don't have, probably their high school diploma, that didn't finish high school. You don't have to have that to be able to understand that. That's one of the things that we in the Mexica movement, everybody needs to learn this. We know that. We know that everybody needs to learn this, regardless of how far you got in school, regardless of how many PhDs you have. All of this is information that should be the basis of who we are as a people, and it is lacking, which is why we are organizing this Nican Tlaca University in a free aspect and in a way that's going to be available to whenever you could watch YouTube or Facebook. And the process, what is the process? The process is sharing the information that we attain in a college approach session, focusing on an array of topics to facilitate our understanding of our history. We will share our knowledge on the various topics in our own unique and diverse ways. Our history, like you know, is huge. There's a lot of information out there, and each one of us, we share different interests. Some of us might be interested in the Nahuatl language. Some of us might be interested in the astronomy. Some of us might be interested in the legal systems, whether it be our legal systems before the European invasion or through the colonial process. Some of us might be interested in what role women played in Semanahuac. Some of us might be interested on the current colonial attacks on our people. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of aspects of our history. And so all of us in the Mexica movement, we have a different interest. And so what we do with this is that we gather that and we present it to you in the most clear and organized manner. And another aspect of our history is we are seeing our history as liberation. And this is the importance of using these tools that are available to us that were not available to our ancestors. And so hopefully years to come, there will be bigger tools for our descendants to use for this liberation process. It says, the internet has allowed us to share this liberation message with the world. Many of the people involved with the Mexica movement today first heard of us via YouTube, Facebook, all other social medias. We have to use all social media to create a space for the sharing of our struggle for liberation and the information that is absent in our daily lives. So what this is we're using, people are on YouTube, people are watching fights on YouTube, people are watching little girls twerking on YouTube. So we're saying, you know what, our people are already in there. What we need to do is create a space. We need to create a platform within those social medias, and we need to present this information. Because like we said, a lot of us, we didn't know this history. A lot of us first learned about it through a YouTube video. A lot of us first learned about it through Facebook. So we have to continue that. We have to continue making that presence on YouTube and on Facebook, because there are many of our people who are questioning, many of our people who are already starting to ask questions, but there's no solid response to them. There's nothing really that's fulfilling them, saying, wait a second, there's something wrong. I don't really think I'm Hispanic or Latino, but I'm going to go along with it. A lot of our people are starting to question these things, but because we don't have the actual resource of knowledge, it's very hard to make a conclusion, or it's very hard to make your case or you create your own answer when you don't have that information or those tools. So part of what we're doing in the Mexica movement is our people are watching YouTube or on Facebook, we're going to be there. Because just like we woke up, there's millions of our people who want this information, don't know it, and we want to make it easy for them. Some of the topics that we're going to cover in the Nicantlaca University will be the destruction and historical trauma of our indigenous identity, Mexica warfare, heroes of Semanahuac, awakening and the tips on how to decolonize, Nicantlaca regalia, massacre of El Salvador in 1932, the California missions as concentration camps, Nicantlaca resistance, and protesting Columbus Day. The materials that we'll be using, we will be making it accessible to you through Facebook and YouTube. We plan to have these lectures, as we're recording them, they will be put on YouTube. We will be creating a channel specifically for these lectures. We will also have these lectures on Facebook. These lectures and presentations and information will be organized. Some of the PowerPoint presentations will also be available for you to download, and whatever other materials that we use. And lastly, we just want to, ask you to join us in this liberation education process. Spread the word. Let people know about this. Tell them there's no registration fee. Tell them there's no financial aid that they have to apply for. Tell them that it's completely free. Especially for the teachers out there, this is going to be a great resource for you, because I know that there's a lot of teachers who are interested in teaching this, but they don't have the resource. They don't have the teaching guide. And a lot of teachers, they go through the training process and they're given given that information, they're giving the handouts, they're giving all that. So it makes it easier for them to teach the topics because they already have those resources. So part of what we're doing is hopefully with this type of information in the Nicantilaca University, we will help teachers who want to teach this but don't have the material. Well, now it's going to be easy. Maybe they can show this in one of their classrooms. Maybe they can download the PowerPoint presentation and do the presentation themselves. I mean, there's no reason why we should be kept ignorant, especially as teachers, and we have the responsibility to teach the truth. We are trying to do our best to make it easier for you to be able to teach our children, our young adults, the truth of our history. So with that, I am inaugurating the Nicantilaca University of Semanahuac, a project of the Mexica movement. Thank you very much.